Hey, what is up, Patriots, and happy Monday. I hope you had a great weekend. T-minus 17 days till Christmas, so yeah, make sure you get that shopping done early. Well, this is O'Connor's Quick Strike, and I'm John O'Connor. 3 stories the mainstream media won't cover, or will completely twist beyond recognition, delivered in roughly 15 minutes or so. No fluff, no BS, no filler, just the unvarnished truth peppered with my own take on what's really going on. We do this every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Today is Monday, December 8th, and I've got 3 stories that show you exactly who the Democrats really care about. And spoiler alert, it's not you. We are leading with Democrats defending narco-terrorists who are poisoning American kids, while 822 people died of overdoses in just one congressional district this year. Then we are diving into a bill with 123 Democrat co-sponsors that would force you to pay for illegal aliens' lawyers while making it nearly impossible for ICE to detain dangerous criminals. And we are closing with Elon Musk going absolutely nuclear on the European Union after they hit him with a $140 million censorship fine, while X is now dominating as the #1 news app across almost every EU country. Let's get into it. 3. Alright, Patriots, I need you to sit down for this one because I'm about to tell you something that should make your blood boil. Last week, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth ordered strikes on drug boats in the Caribbean as part of the Trump administration's anti-narco-terrorism campaign. We've covered this numerous times, so you should be up to date. But these weren't fishing boats. These weren't recreational vessels. These were cartel boats running cocaine into the United States. The same cocaine that's killing Americans by the thousands. So, what did Democrats do? Did they celebrate getting drug traffickers off of our streets? Did they thank Hegseth for protecting American kids? Nope. They defended the narco-terrorists. First up, we've got Democrat Congressman Adam Smith from Washington State. This guy went on MSNBC, because of course it was MSNBC, and said with a straight face that, quote, people on a boat in the middle of the Caribbean carrying cocaine are not a direct threat to the lives of our service members or Americans. Not a direct threat. Let that sink in just for a second. You want to know what's a direct threat, Congressman Smith? How about the 822 confirmed drug overdose deaths in your congressional district this year alone? That's King County, Washington, where Smith represents. 822 dead Americans in one county in 1 year. But sure, tell me again how the guys running the cocaine aren't a threat. Then we've got Democrat from Connecticut, Jim Himes, who, by the way, is the ranking member of the House Intelligence Committee. So he should know better, right? Himes went on TV and described the narco-terrorists killed in the strikes as, and I quote, 2 terrified men clinging to the wreckage who are, quote, guys that probably didn't have a lot of economic opportunity. I'm sorry, what? So now we are supposed to feel sorry for cartel members because they didn't have enough job opportunities back home? Are you freaking kidding me now? Let me tell you who I feel sorry for. I feel sorry for the parents bearing their teenagers who OD'd on fentanyl. I feel sorry for the families destroyed by addiction. I feel sorry for the communities torn apart by the drugs these terrified men, and I unquote unquote, were smuggling into our country. But Himes wants us to shed a tear for the drug traffickers. Here's my question for you, and I want you to really think about this. Why are Democrats defending cartel members? Is it just pure stupidity? Maybe. Some of these folks aren't exactly the sharpest tools in the shed. But I think there's something deeper going on here. Let me throw out a few theories, and you tell me which ones makes the most sense in the comments. Theory number 1. Democrats need to keep the border chaos going because illegal immigration serves their political interests. More illegal aliens means more future voters once they figure out how to get them citizenship. Can't crack down too hard on the cartels because then you might actually secure the border. Theory number 2. Some Democrats are compromised by cartel money. We know cartels have billions of dollars. You think they are not buying politicians? You think they are not funding campaigns and paying off officials to look the other way? Theory number 3. Democrats fundamentally hate American sovereignty. They believe in open borders, global citizenship, and the idea that American laws shouldn't apply to foreign nationals. In their worldview, we have no right to defend our borders or protect our citizens from foreign criminals. Or, theory number 4. It's all 3 combined: stupidity, corruption, and ideology. What do you think? Because I'm genuinely trying to understand how a sitting member of Congress can watch American kids die by the thousands and then defend the people killing them. 822 deaths in one congressional district. That's 2 people dying every single day from drug overdoses. And the Democrats' response is to sympathize with the traffickers. This is what we are dealing with, patriots. This is who they are. And they are saying it out loud now.
2.
Speaking of Democrats showing their true colors, let's talk about Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal from Washington State. And if you want a laugh, she recently started her own podcast called The Power of You, which is an absolute joke. So if you want to chuckle, head on over there. Last Tuesday, just a few days ago, Jayapal held a press conference to announce her new bill, and this one is a doozy. It's called the Dignity for Detained Immigrants Act, which is one of those feel-good titles that means the opposite of what it sounds like. And get this, the bill already has 123 Democrat co-sponsors. 123. That's not a fringe position. That's mainstream Democrat thinking. So, what does this bill actually do? First, it would force American taxpayers to pay for lawyers for detained illegal aliens. That's right. You would be paying for legal defense for people who broke our laws to get into our country. Second, it creates something called a presumption of release. Translation, it makes it way harder for ICE to actually detain dangerous criminals. They'd have to meet a much higher burden of proof before they could hold someone, even if that person is a violent offender or a repeat border crosser. Third, it would phase out private detention facilities over 3 years, which sounds nice until you realize it would eliminate thousands of beds we use to hold criminal illegal aliens while they are awaiting deportation. And fourth, and this is my personal favorite, it would allow members of Congress to conduct unannounced inspections of ICE detention facilities. Now, why do they want that provision? Because back in May, Democrat Congresswoman LaMonica McKeever literally threw hands at ICE agents when she tried to storm a detention facility in Newark, New Jersey. She got arrested for trespass. So, now they want to make it legal for them to barge in whenever they feel like it. But wait, it gets better. At the press conference announcing this bill, Jayapal stood next to a guy named Mahmoud Khalil, who is a known pro-Hamas agitator, and she actually handed him the microphone. You know what Khalil said? He said, quote, "No one should be detained for immigration enforcement. No one. There's no need for detention for immigration enforcement." End quote. And Jayapal just stood there, nodded along in agreement. So, let me get this straight. If you break into our country illegally, you shouldn't be detained. If you commit crimes while you are here, you shouldn't be detained. And American taxpayers should foot the bill for your legal defense. Here's my question. Do you think Democrats would offer you the same deal? If you break the law, do you get a free lawyer paid for by someone else, not talking about public defenders? Do you get a presumption of release where it's hard for the cops to hold you? Do you get a special protection because you're a vulnerable population? Of course not. If you commit a crime, you're going to jail. You are getting prosecuted. And if you can't afford a lawyer, you'll get a public defender who's probably handling 400 cases at once. But if you're an illegal alien, different rules, better treatment, more rights. Why is that? Why do illegal aliens get better legal protections than American citizens? I'll tell you why. Because Democrats don't see themselves as representing Americans anymore. They see themselves as representing everyone except the people who actually elected them and pay their salaries. And the fact that 123 Democrats signed onto this bill tells you this isn't some crazy outlier position. This is what the Democrat Party stands for in 2025. So here's my question for you. How do you think this plays in 2026? You think suburban voters in swing districts want to fund lawyers for illegal aliens? You think working class Americans who are struggling to pay their own bills want their tax dollars going to defend foreign criminals? But I'll tell you what, if I'm a Republican running for Congress next year, I'm running this ad on repeat. And I quote, "My opponent voted to make you pay for lawyers for illegal aliens. I'm voting to deport them. Which side are you on?" End quote. And boom, that's your campaign right there. All right, let's end on a high note because this one is beautiful. On Friday, the European Union hit Elon Musk's X platform with a $140 million fine under something called the Digital Services Act. Now, the EU claims this is about protecting users and fighting misinformation. But let's be honest about what it really is. It's censorship, dressed up in bureaucratic language. See, the EU doesn't like that X lets people actually speak freely. They don't like that conservatives can get verified now for roughly $8 a month instead of having to be approved by some left-wing gatekeeper. They don't like that X won't hand over all its user data to regime-aligned researchers who want to deplatform anyone who disagrees with the establishment narrative. So, they fined Musk $140 million. And you know what Musk did? He went nuclear. On Saturday, Musk posted, "The EU should be abolished and sovereignty returned to individual countries so that governments can better represent their people." Boom! Didn't apologize, didn't back down, didn't offer to negotiate, just said the EU should be dismantled. Then on Sunday, he doubled down. He wrote, "The European Union is not democracy, rule of the people, but rather bureaucracy, rule of the unelected bureaucrat." And you know what? He's absolutely right. The EU Commission is run by people who were never elected by anyone. They are bureaucrats appointed by other bureaucrats, making rules for 450 million people who never got to vote on whether they wanted those rules in the first place. It's the definition of unaccountable government, and Musk just called them out to their faces. But here's the best part. While the EU is trying to punish X with fines and regulations, X is absolutely crushing it in Europe. It's now the #1 news app in almost every EU country. Denmark, #1. Cyprus, #1. The app is seeing record downloads across Europe because people are sick of government-controlled media telling them what they are allowed to think. The people have spoken. They are downloading X in record numbers because they want the truth, not propaganda approved by unelected bureaucrats in Brussels. So here's my question for you. What does it tell you that the EU is so threatened by free speech that they are willing to fine platforms $140 million just for letting people talk? What are they so afraid of? What are they trying to hide? Because I'll tell you what I think. I think they are terrified that people are waking up. They are terrified that citizens across Europe are realizing their governments don't represent them anymore. They are terrified that nationalism and populism are surging because people are done being ruled by faceless bureaucrats who don't care what they think. And instead of listening to the people, instead of giving them what they want, the EU's response is, we will just fine anyone who gives them a platform. That's not democracy, that's tyranny. And Elon Musk just told them to go pound sand. You know what I love about this? Musk doesn't need the EU. X is doing fine without their approval. And if they want to ban it or fine it into oblivion, people will just find another way to access it. VPNs, alternative platforms, whatever it takes. You can't stop free speech. You can try to suppress it, but it always finds a way. And watching unelected bureaucrats lose their minds because people want to think for themselves, well, that's just beautiful. So, there you have it, Patriots. 3 stories that show you exactly where we are. Story 1. Democrats defend narco-terrorists who are poisoning American kids, calling them terrified men with no economic opportunity, while 822 people died of drug overdoses in just one Democrat congressman's district this year. Story 2. 123 Democrats co-sponsor a bill to make you pay for illegal aliens' lawyers, create a presumption of release for detained criminals, and make it nearly impossible for ICE to do their jobs, all while standing next to a pro-Hamas agitator who says no one should be detained for immigration violations. Story 3. The EU tries to silence Elon Musk with a $140 million censorship fine, and Musk responds by calling for the EU to be abolished, while X becomes the #1 news app across almost every EU country because people are desperate for free speech. What's the thread that connects all 3 stories? It's simple. The establishment is losing control, and they are panicking. They can't control the border anymore. They can't control the narrative anymore. And they can't control you anymore. So what do? They defend the cartels. They protect illegal aliens. They find platforms that allow free speech. They do everything they can to maintain their grip on power. But it's not working. People are waking up. X is exploding in Europe. Trump is back in the White House. Hegseth is taking out drug boats. And Americans are done being told what to think. The question is, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to sit back and let 123 Democrats tell you that their tax dollars should go to defend illegal aliens? Are you going to accept that drug traffickers deserve sympathy? Are you going to let unelected bureaucrats decide what you're allowed to say? Or are you going to fight back? Because that's what it's going to take, Patriots. Fighting back, sharing these stories, calling out these politicians, voting them out in 2026. The establishment is gift-wrapping their own defeat. They are telling us who they are, defending cartels, protecting illegal aliens, silencing free speech. All we have to do is believe them and act accordingly. I'll see you on Wednesday with 3 more stories the mainstream media won't touch. This is O'Connor's Quick Strike, and I'm John O'Connor. Hold the line, Patriots.